Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Before I get started on the topic of today's video, I just want to thank everyone that has been coming back and checking out my videos, all the comments and the likes. And most of all, thank you to all you that have subscribed to the channel and all the new subscribers I've gotten here recently. I appreciate it. It means a lot. It's going to help the channel continue to grow. And it just inspires me to keep trying to come up with stuff that is going to bring you guys back to hopefully help y'all catch a few more fish. Today, I'm going to talk about the month of October. I know we're a week into it, and I don't want to just go over baits because a lot of the stuff I've talked about in my last two videos has been to help you guys with baits. Things you can throw. Now I'm going to talk about a couple because there's a couple I haven't talked about, and I'll quickly go over some of the other ones. But there's two things in the month of October that are the most key to me in the way I fish, and that is number one, bait fish. So much of what a bass eats and starts relying on for food and forage in the month of October and November and even into December starts to become bait fish, whether it's shad or whether it's blueback herring or whether it's, and if you're fishing in a river, it could be minnows, it could be, the small bluegill, whatever the forage is, it starts to become more of a bait fish, a fish related diet for them. Now that's not to say if a crawfish comes scuttling by, they ain't gonna grab it and eat it, because they will. They'll always eat a crawfish. But a lot of their feeding and a lot of their habits tend to go towards feeding on bait fish. Another reason for that is the bait fish really start to school up and bunch up in October. We've had several cooler nights here, and I'm sure for a lot of you, you've had those. So schooling bait, the bait's moving shallower, the bait's starting to move towards creeks if it hasn't already, and they may not be in the back of the creeks yet, but I'm pretty sure they're starting to head in that direction. So the mouth of a creek or the first part of the creek, could be where you find them. So a lot of my fishing is going to be bait fish oriented. The second thing is covering water. The fall may be the most important time of the year if you want to catch fish, to put the trolling motor down, fish an area hard for 30, 45 minutes. If you don't get anything, crank up and move to the next area. Sometimes I don't even go that long. I kind of go with what my gut feeling is, but being someone who likes to fish moving baits more than I do the other styles of baits, I would say 20 to 30 minutes. You haven't seen any bait fish move. You haven't seen any kind of action at all. You haven't got any bites. Crank up and go somewhere else. Put the trolling motor down and go again. And the reason why is this: the fish are moving so much in the fall, chasing the bait, looking for the bait, that you want to move and cover as much water. That's a big key. Covering as much water as you possibly can in the fall, and that will help you catch more fish. The first thing, as I said, was the bait fish. That's a big key. Second thing is covering water. Those two things are probably the two most important things to keep in mind in the fall. The water temperature's already started to drop, like I said, because we've had some cooler nights. And as it continues to drop, the feed will get more and more heavy because they know winter's coming. And they want to fatten up and eat as much as they can right now before cold weather really sets in. So the baits that I've talked about, I've talked about buzzbait, walking topwater, in a shad pattern or either something black. Walking bait in a shad pattern, I usually start off with black. whether it's a buzz bait, whatever kind of top water. I usually start off with something black. That's just one I've colored black. And then I'll go to a shad color. Black's just a good color in the fall, especially they can't really get a good look at it, and they just seem to like black top waters in the fall. Whether it's a plopper, whether it's a buzz bait, whether it's a walking bait, and some of this stuff is up to your own judgment as far as what kind of bait. Because I've had guys comment and say, yeah, they like to throw a Rico. Rico's an awesome bait. Me personally, I don't feel like I can cover a lot of water with it. It's more of like a situational type, maybe working around a certain piece of cover or a couple of laydowns, that kind of thing. It's not something I can put in my hand and cover a ton of water with. And that's what I'm looking to do. But if that's what you like to throw, then throw it. Because one of the biggest things in fishing that gets overlooked sometimes is your own confidence in the things that you've had success with in the past fishing with. Sometimes I'm sure some of the stuff that I talk about, I throw, you guys are like, you know, I like to throw this instead, or I feel like I can, that situation, I can use this bait and do a better job with it. That's the cool thing about fishing, is everyone's thought process and everyone's success or failure has come in different ways. So you can send 5 people down a stretch of bank, and all 5 of them probably gonna fish it different. So that's one thing to always keep in mind. These ain't rock solid things that I guarantee if you do this, you're gonna catch more fish. I'm just telling you the percentages over the years. These are the things that have worked for me. And I've tried a lot of the other stuff. I just haven't had the success with it that I've had with the things that I bring you guys to the channel. So having said that, buzz bait, I throw buzz bait a lot. Keep it in my hand. Sometimes I buzz bait something that I'll throw for a couple of hours before I put it down. Because usually in the fall, when you get a bite on it, it's a good one. I'll keep a shad color and a black one on, like I said. Same thing, walking top water. A shad color one and a black one. Plopper, same thing. Now, I may not always have all, you know, one of each color tied on all the time, because, you know, but I will always have the other right there with me on the front of the boat somewhere, where if I ain't done, you know, haven't succeeded with one color, I'll switch it over. Now, if I'm in a tournament and buzzbait is the bite, I'll have them both tied on, and I'll just keep going back and forth. Some days they're gonna bust the shad, some days they're gonna bust the black one. So there are your top waters. Another thing that I throw a lot in the fall that I've talked about is a little jig. Little 1/4 ounce jig. I like to keep one tied on either green pumpkin with black and blue trailer, or black and blue with a green pumpkin trailer. And I will just, anything I come to that looks like I need to put a slower bait into it, if it looks too good to pass up, lay down, dock, brush pile, you know, big stump, anything I see like that, I'll skip that jig around it. I know that's not bait fish related, but it's just something that has helped me pick up more fish, and sometimes a good fish in the fall is when I see a lone piece of cover. If I've worked the top water around it and ain't got no bites on it, and I feel like, man, there should be a fish there, I'll skip that jig around it, and a lot of times it ends up what gets me the bite for that particular fish. Now, let me talk about a few baits that I haven't really covered that I do like to throw in the fall. The first one is a fluke style bait. That's an awesome bait in the fall. And here's one little thing that I'll do different. Now, the thing about this, you know how you have a Senko or wacky rig in the fall or in the spring, anytime. Wacky rig Senko is always probably tied on for 90% of people. Is a comeback bait if you get a blow up. Well, this fluke in the fall is, or fluke style bait, whichever one you like to throw, is a good comeback bait in the fall for a walking top water or a plopper or buzz bait. I like to keep a fluke on a 5/0 hook. And something else I like to do is I'll take the fluke and I'll take a little nail weight. I'm big on nail weights. I've done a video on those in the past. And I'll put it right into the back of the head where I can still get my hook in there like I want to. And it gives this a little bit different action. It kind of, instead of straight down, it almost gives it more of a dying shad look, kind of a glide down, and use a little, as tiny as you can get in there. That's a 32nd ounce. And they make them smaller. That was just the smallest one I had on hand for a demonstration for the video, but I'll put that in a fluke, and that just gives it just a little bit more of a nose down, dying shad look to it. Any kind of fluke style bait, whichever you want. Zoom, everybody knows the Zoom fluke. There's the Berkeley makes one, everybody makes one. So that's just a little something you can do, stick a nail weight in there, and that gives a little bit different fall. One other thing about a fluke is I've found a lot of uses for the little junior swimming fluke junior. I use this thing as a spinnerbait trailer. I fish it by itself on a little jig head, and I catch a lot of fish with this thing in the fall, fishing it just like people fish a little swim bait. They love this thing. The action on the tail is crazy, and this is the swimming fluke junior. That's another little bait you can throw. Going back to the jig, I mentioned the jig that I like to flip around. A swim jig is another good choice in the fall. This is a Dirty Jigs swim jig with a Berkeley the Deal trailer on it. And I think this chartreuse shad, or I think is the color. This is primarily the color I throw, either this or straight white. But this swim jig is another good bait to cover water in the fall with. Again, the whole deal with the shad and fish chasing, you can put this in your hand, you can throw it around a lot of different kinds of cover, and it'll catch you some fish too. One bait I don't talk about a lot that I should, and I'm sure a lot of you guys throw it, and this isn't a rattle trap, but it's the trap style bait. This is a Strike King red eye shad. Very loud bait. This is just a standard chartreuse sexy shad. The only two I really throw, is three of them actually, is the red eye shad, the Yozuri rattling vibe. I love that. That's probably my favorite actually, is the Yozuri. And the Cordell Super Spot, it's called. That's a real old school rattling bait. Those three are about the only three I throw. And I've had more success with the Yozuri than any of them. You can cast these things a freaking mile. You can cover a ton of water with them. If you see them busting away from the boat when you think you can't reach them, you can throw one of these 1/2 ounce or even the 3/8 ounce, and you can get it to them. And a lot of times you'll hook up. The thing with those is you do tend to lose some fish with them, but that's just part of fishing with them. So, but your rattling baits like this are a real good choice too. Another little bait that I don't talk a lot about, that I throw a lot in the fall, is a little Bandit square bill, the 100 series. I catch a ton of fish. I have in the past. I don't throw it as much because I've been experimenting the last few years with different kinds of crankbaits because so much new stuff comes out. But I still catch fish with these. I'll have one tied on most of the time in the fall all the way up until December. And it's just a good action. The depth range is good. And one more thing about this made me think of one other thing real quick, is you hear a lot of talk, and I've even brought it up about the turnover in the fall. The thing with the turnover is when the lake's turning over, the water that it affects the least is the shallow water, 5 foot or less. When you start getting down into 10 to 20, 30, that's when the turnover has more of an effect on the fish that stay in that water column and the water itself. 5 foot or less, you don't see a whole lot of effect from the turnover on those fish. They, in fact, probably go shallower, and they probably feed more because more fish come and look for the shallower water, which makes competition for food more, and you'll see them tend to be more aggressive. So that's something to keep in mind too. Whether you fish a lake, river, whatever it is, this time of the year, bait fish is going to be a big key. It's just something that they are focused on, and it's something that if you tend to keep your bait selection towards the bait fish style baits and covering as much water as you can, fishing fast, a jerk bait. I didn't lay a jerk bait out, but that's another good bait in the fall. You can catch a lot of fish on a jerk bait in the fall. They just, the erratic action and the constant movement it's just another good choice. So these are just some, some things that I do, some different baits, and a mindset for October to start really focusing on the fish that are aggressive, they're moving, and they're feeding heavy, looking to put on weight for the cold winter months. And hopefully these are some things that'll help you catch some fish. So I thank you guys for watching. Please share the videos. Give me a like if you got some information out of this video you like. And if you come back every week and watch the videos and haven't subscribed, I would ask, as always, that you would give it a shot and subscribe to the channel. And the content starts to get to be something you're not interested in, or you don't feel like it's helping your fishing, you could always unsubscribe. I appreciate everybody watching. Thanks to everyone that's been coming back to the channel. And real quick, there's a lot going on nowadays in the world. It's crazy. The people in the western part of the state, people in Tennessee, North Carolina, even I think there was even parts of South Carolina, and Florida, Georgia, anyone that was affected by that last hurricane. Keep those people in your prayers. That's a rough deal. It's a lot going on with that, and it's just sad to watch the coverage and the different things I've seen with it. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys on the next video. Tight lines.